When you get older, you'll always look back and wish I could have did it differently. You know, I was the number one recruit coming out of state in the nation that year. Think about it, I'm from a small town of 2,000 people. You know, that's where I'm from, a little bitty town. It was 50 people in my graduating class, but I was the number one guy in the whole nation. I never expected that, but I never felt like I was bigger or better than anyone else. I mean, I just always had that team mentality. I mean, because, you know, even when I ran for 2,000 yards, I didn't do that on my own. The guys up front helped me do that. The wide receivers, you know, they blocked for me outside. And so I've always been just Eric.
Hello. Welcome back, or welcome to the Yogi Roth Show. I'm your host, Yogi Roth, and I hope all is well because football season is knee-deep. We are rolling right now. National Football League, high school football is a month, and college football is heading into a month. I mean, it's crazy. This thing just flies by, a fourth of the way done with high school and college football. That's crazy. Unbelievable. What also is crazy is that I got to sit on a stage with these three individuals in this podcast and now deliver this conversation with you. I got to sit next to Eric Dickerson, the Hall of Famer. Yeah, that guy, the second pick of the 1983 draft, six-time Pro Bowler, Heisman finalist, over 2,000 rushing yards in a season, etc., etc., etc. Curtis Conway, one of my favorite humans of all time, also one of my favorite players of all time. Think about this guy. Seventh pick in the 93 draft. He was a first-team All-American coming out of USC. And in high school, he was a dual-threat quarterback. So think about it now. If Curtis Conway came out of high school, he'd be Vince Young. He'd be Lamar Jackson. He'd be Khalil Tate. He'd be the most dynamic player in all of college football. He was that as a wideout. Imagine with the ball in his hands every snap. The third man I got to sit next to is Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks was drafted in the second round in 1994. Dynamic athlete, could play all over the field, played for 6 teams in the league. Then he transitioned to being a scout in the NFL. And you know him probably now best because he's on the NFL Network. He's a great follow on social. He's got awesome content around the draft and really all season long, an incredible podcast and just an incredible human being. And I got to sit with all three of these guys at an event brought to you by Nike and the LA Rams. The event is titled 11 On. Well, we all know this. Football is played with 11 individuals, and you play 11 individuals, and it's a team sport. But there's something happening over the last 5 years or so. It's become pretty individualized, right? And I get it. I'm part of the Elite 11, and we talk about the top quarterbacks. And I get social media is a big deal right now, and Instagram, likes, double taps, etc. Build my brand is on the forefront of every athlete's mind, and I support that. But nobody exists in sport without team, specifically in football. You can look at Tom Brady, most popular football player you could argue in the world. He doesn't exist without team, and that's why he's so special. He gets that. And we sat on the stage in front of a couple hundred high school teams, student athletes with their teams, not just the 5-star kids, the 4-star kids getting schollies, but I'm talking about like a left tackle who's 5'7", 150 pounds, not the left tackle that's 6'7", 275 pounds. I mean, these are guys literally trying to better their team. So Nike brought me in to moderate this conversation where we got to talk about their individual journeys to being epic individual athletes, but because of the incredible teammates that they had been at all their stops along the way. And these guys are continually dramatically successful, and it's because their understanding of team. I think you're really going to dig it. I think you're also going to dig my partner on this podcast. If you don't know it, my team is Kona Red Coffee, and I love Kona Red Coffee. I think coffee is a catalyst to incredible conversation, and Kona Red is the best, I think, on planet Earth for a few reasons. One is it comes from the volcanic mountain slopes of Hawaii. And I love the ocean. I love to surf. If you're listening to this, or I think if you're a human being and you've ever seen the ocean, it's easy to fall in love with it. 2, they source some of the rarest, most sought-after coffee in the world because they go to the volcanic mountain slopes of Hawaii. They handpick every coffee cherry, and they get how nutrient-rich the soil is in Hawaii where this coffee comes from. So I love everything about this company, this community, the individuals, the team at Kona Red. And my family, my team, my home team loves it as well. My wife and I were making coffee every morning. We've got even the cascara juice. They have a juice that comes from this. They've got coffee beans. They got cold brew. My favorite is the cans. So check it out. Lean in, KonaRed.com, or check it out at Vaughn's, Albertsons, Pavilions, Ralph's, Bristol Farms, Sprouts, and many more. The team at Kona Red is dope. Now, it may not be as athletic as the 3 guys I talked to, but nonetheless, I want to make sure I drop into this conversation with you and give a little context. First and foremost, this conversation You're going to pick it up as we get going. You heard a little soundbite off the top. That was Eric Dickerson. We're going to jump right back into it because we don't waste any time. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Lean in. Here we go. Eric Dickerson, Bucky Brooks, Curtis Conway, talking about their journey and their journey to being an incredible teammate along with the power of team.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my best friend day before yesterday, and he said, Dick, he said, man, people always talk about you. He said, guy was talking about you the other day, and he says that Eric is just Eric. You know, I'm just who I am. I'm not Eric Dickerson, the football player. I don't get it. That's not me. I don't get it. I mean, some of you guys will play college football. Some of you may even play pro football, you know. And some of you ladies may coach in pros. But, you know, don't ever lose yourself. That's the most important thing. Don't ever think that you're bigger than the team, because as time goes on, like the Rams, they continue without me. You know, all these teams continue without all of us. You know, time just goes on, and we're afterthought. But, you know, people that meet you later in life, like people that met me and say, I met you when I was 12 years old, and you were nice, man, never forgot that. You know, and I think those are some of the biggest rewards that you get in life. And so for me, I can say it was just being me.
Being me, yeah. I'm not sure you all watch Curtis on television, but you also may not know his story. He was one of the top dual threat quarterbacks coming out of high school in Southern California, in the inner city of Los Angeles. Went to USC as a dual threat quarterback, eventually became a receiver. I'm curious if you had to put yourself back in that era, like some of these young men that are sitting in front of us, and everyone was telling you how great you are. How would you have dealt with it? And what do you tell kids now when we're told we're this, we're that, you only should be offensive player, only should be a defensive player, only should be this? Because that happened to you as a dual threat guy who then eventually switched positions.
Back then it was a little different. You know, we didn't have social media. And, you know, of course, your name got in the paper. It was huge, you know, and everybody's talking about you. But it wasn't hard to deal with because I love the game. It was never about me, you know, being a star or being an individual. You know how they say, you know, love what you do, you know, and the money comes. That was my mentality. I love the game of football. So it didn't really matter what somebody said. And I was a competitor too. So I always wanted to win. It was always about who's guarding me, who we're playing against. Didn't matter if I scored 3 touchdowns or no matter what I did, what kind of accomplishment. It was always about the next game. And so somebody can pat you on the back because you have a good game or a good season. The next year can be totally different. And for me, I played quarterback, and like you said, Yogi, I was the #1 quarterback being recruited in the country. I got to SC. I missed a year because I didn't pass the SAT on time. You talk about being humble. Like, I just won the state championship here in California in the 100 meters. I ran 10.3. All-American quarterback, #1 in the country. And in July, I was sitting at home because I didn't pass the SAT right away. And I eventually passed it, and I could have went to SC for track in the spring, but I sat out the whole year. And that whole year, I was back in South Central LA, and I was working at a job where there were grown men making the same amount of money that I made, and I'm 18, they're 40-some years old, and they're going home feeding the family, where I'm going home and I'm giving my grandmother money for bills, but I'm still a kid, I have no responsibility. And I just said to myself, man, it's crazy how we walk around and we think we're better than everyone because we play a sport. And here this man is, he has to do this. I have an opportunity to live a great life playing a sport that I love. I would do without getting paid. And so seeing the reality of life flash from me right then in that whole year, not to mention every day I go home, you know, wearing a red sweatshirt can get you shot. So living in that environment and being able to live that life for a year to see, okay, do I really want to do this? No. So once I got to SC, you know, everybody, oh, he's coming, he's here, you know, and I immediately, I was Marshawn Lynch. I went the other way from the media because I didn't want attention. I just wanted to play football. And as long as you're focusing on the game and getting better, because we're all in the media. We're going to say good things about you, but guess what? When you mess up, we got to be critical of you too. And then that's what hurts more than anything, because you're like, man, that dude was showing me love. man, I dropped 2 balls and now he on me. But that's part of human nature. And a lot of you guys out there, 4- or 5-star guys, these guys are on you. They want to be your friends. Other players want to be like you. But what happens when that's gone? Those guys won't be around, because you got to remember, most people are around you because you're a star. They want to be associated with that stuff. So like Eric said, as long as you stay true to yourself, none of that stuff will really penetrate your spirit where you really get caught up in it. Like you guys are on social media. Again, we didn't have social media. So you guys have a bunch of followers. And now, for me, the difference is it's about my brand, which means totally different than what football represents. Oh, it's my brand, so I need to catch these many balls. I need to have these stats. So now you become an individual, where in football, if you're playing wide receiver or quarterback, you know, you want to throw for 400 yards. Well, if you're playing against a team that's playing prevent defense all game, guess what? We might have to hand it off 40 times. If you're caught up in your social media and your highlights, you will never reach your full potential as a player because you're so worried about you as an individual. So for me, you know, it was always trying to stay humble just based on some of the experience I went through after I graduated from high school.
Speaking of graduation, when you've evaluated guys, and here you are, you have a career on television, in sports, in football, based on what you did as a player, how you fell in love with the team game. How have you leveraged from your time, same age as these guys, in high school, to allow football to give back to you in so many ways as you've built your entire career around the game?
It's crazy. Seaway said something. Chase the dream and not the dough. And so the toughest thing in life is to identify what your passion is. And once you identify your passion, go after your passion, and everything else comes from that. So very early on in life, 7 or 8 years old, I loved football. I fell in love with the game of football. I used to watch it all the time. This was a guy that I used to have this little face mask like ED because I used to wear neck roll like ED because that's what I wanted to do. And then, like, I got to college, and I started right away as a freshman and as a sophomore. But my junior year, I redshirted. And it was kind of that crossroads. Well, what am I going to do if football doesn't work out for me? How am I going to figure that out? And I was able to be around enough people that were successful that I could model their behavior. Stuart Scott went to Carolina, was a Tar Heel. I could pick up the phone and talk to him, and he could say, hey, here's where I think you can do. Here's the people that you can talk to. Think about it this way. And I was also willing to do a lot of things for free to make it happen. And so I think what everyone has to think about is whatever it is you want to do, you have to work hard at it without knowing the end game in mind, without knowing if I'm going to get paid doing it. But I'm doing it because I love it, and eventually the money will come. And so they always talk about the overnight celebrity. There's no such thing as an overnight celebrity. Everyone that you see that has made it has grinded a long time to make it. And so you have to be willing to embrace the grind for it to pay off. And that's why you see on draft night people crying, mamas and daddies and grandmas crying, because everyone sacrificed so that you can make it. So that's what it is. So then when you have an opportunity to make it, it's your obligation to give back. Because people gave to me, so my job is to pour it back into other people. So that's kind of how it comes. You hope that someone is willing to give to you, so then you can pay it forward.
So I'm curious for you guys in the audience. Think about this question for a second. Are you process-oriented or are you outcome-oriented? Think about it. Are you process-oriented? Are you outcome-oriented? Is this weekend all about winning the championship, having the number 1 point? Or is it about the process of developing a team? It's okay to have either answer, but just be truthful about it. Eric, one of my favorite phrases is form versus essence, right? The form was number 2 draft pick, top recruit in the world, best player in the NFL in your era, one of the greats of all time, Hall of Famer. But the essence of you is things like you referenced with your father. When people were telling you who you were, when they were saying what you were, when they were defining your form, how did you tap back into who you were and the essence of yourself as an individual?
That's a great question because for me, I was always told I wasn't good enough. I wasn't fast enough, and I was fast. You from a man, Eric, you can't play no football, man. Come on, dog. That ain't him. He can't do that. When I was getting recruited, Eric, the number one player, man, I don't see that. No, come on, yeah, that's Eric. And that's just how it was. And then when I went to college, he can't play with the big boy. He gonna see the big boys gonna show him now. In my freshman year, I struggled. I really did. I think a lot of young players that come out of high school think they're ready to play college football. I can tell you, you're not. You think you are because you're the guy at that school or whatever, but you're really not. My sophomore year, I did better, but at one point I wanted to transfer. I'm like, man, it wasn't clicking right away. And once again, see, I told you, the big boy, they gonna show him. He ain't gonna last up there. And then I go back my junior year, and I got, bigger, stronger, and I was a lot better. My senior year, because we had to go 4 years in college, it was like a man playing with boys. That's how I felt. I felt I was faster, I was bigger. Anybody, I could put my skill against anybody. That's just how I felt. And I think that one thing is that I never planned on playing professional football. That was never my plan. It was God's plan, having to work out. Because when I tell you, people said that I wasn't good enough, I heard it all the time. Even when I got to the pros, it was a point where, man, they ain't gonna draft Eric. Man, he ain't that good. He can't do that. When I got drafted second player, they were tripped out in my hometown. Oh, he gonna see now. These why the big boys up here, the pros. These why they really hit you. Okay, I had 1,800 yards my rookie year, 20 touchdowns. Heard it again. Because you're from a small town, you hear this stuff, it gets back to you. Yeah, he had a good year, but he just ain't my kind of player. And I'm gonna say you're gonna hear this from your friends. Some of these people you think you're friends, they're not your friends. The people you think that's wishing you well, they're not wishing you well. When I ran for 2,000 yards, then they had to, yeah, he might be all right. He might be okay. So it's a lot of naysayers out there. And I just tell you that whatever you believe that you are, you have to believe it. Really believe it. Because for me, I want to show everybody how good I was. Because I'm like you, Buck. I love football. When I played, man, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the smell of the grass, going out practicing. I loved everything about it. But I want to show them, and some of you guys in here will have to show it. And it's not being arrogant about it. And look, it's not about, like you said, it's social media. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all that kind of stuff. Don't get caught up in that, because that's the first thing will bring you down. The first thing they always taught us, don't read your clips. You start reading your clips, you're going to think how great you are. Oh, I'm good. They're saying I'm this, I'm that. Man, you're not all that. You're really not. I can tell you right now, of all you young men in here, let me ask you one question. How many of you guys think you're going to play professional football? Put your hand up. I want to see a show of hands. Hold them up high. As a matter of fact, stand up. Let me see. Stand up. All the guys think they're going to play pro football. Stand up. Stand up, everybody. So how many guys is that? Stand up. If you think you're going to play pro football, I want you all to stand up. Okay, so all y'all think y'all going to play pro football right here. That's about, 40 guys in this room who think they're going to play pro football? Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. In this room, maybe 3 of you may play, if you're lucky. Because that's how hard it is. Maybe 1, maybe none. Maybe 10, maybe. But I'm just telling you, that's how hard it is to be a professional football player. In this room right here, it may be 1 guy in this room that plays pro football, really. Because I ask kids this all the time. If the whole room will stand up, they plan on playing pro football. It don't work like that. It just doesn't. Because your plan sometimes is not, I can say it's not always God's plan. Sometimes, because I'm going to tell you, it's a sacrifice. Y'all guys know, it's a sacrifice. It really is. You got to sacrifice a friend. You got to sacrifice studying, because you just can't play, football because you want to play it. You have to study it. So I'm going to tell you, I hope you do. I really do hope that some of you guys, man, I hope you come back one day and say, you said I was going to make it. I would take that. I love to say that. I love to say I was wrong. But I'll tell you in this room, probably, I'll say maybe 2 of you guys may play professional football. Play. Not just be on a squad, be cutting in a couple of weeks. Play pro football and have a real career at it. So, I'm glad to see you guys. And I'm glad you have that kind of confidence, but I'm just going to tell you right now, you ain't going to make it. So I take the challenge. I challenge you.
Well said.
Challenge, that was a challenge.
Another question.
That's a challenge.
All right, the challenge is set.
Challenge is set.
Okay, all right. Settle down. That's good. Yeah, you guys are fired up, as you should be. Okay, next question for you. I want a show of hands. Show of hands. How many of you think you love football? Okay, now keep it up. Keep it up if you really, really love football. I mean, really love football. Okay, keep it up if you literally do anything to protect it. Anything to protect it. Okay, good. All right, you drop your hands. That's good. So my question next to the three panelists here, and I'd like you all to answer this one, please. Because I think to love something isn't good enough. There's a word I hope you all remember when you walk out here. It's called agape, which is the deepest form of love. It's deeper than you even can think. You think 7 a.m. is good? It's 5 a.m. You think watching film is good? No, studying and learning film is how you do it. So I'm curious for you three, because to survive in the level that you did and continue to just in your personal lives, what does it mean to really love this game? And can you give these guys some tools so they can further deepen their love for this craft and maybe even prove Eric wrong?
I'm going to go with sacrifice. You know, you mentioned an agape, true love is sacrifice. You know, if anybody do your real study on what love really is, you know, most parents would sacrifice their life for their kids. Probably wouldn't do it for their friend, but for their kids, they would. You know, everybody use that word love, they use it lightly. But for me, love is sacrifice. And what that meant for me was being a leader and telling my boys when they want to go left and I want to go this way and I know what's right, I'm willing to kick y'all to the curb. Some people will say, oh man, you tripping, you change, you ain't this, you not that. But at the end of the day, it came back down to one thing, just like Eric said and Bucky. I love football so much that my friends didn't matter as much as the game did. Nothing, man, you know, this may be a little funny to y'all, but it was true. I would have girlfriends in high school. Got a girlfriend? Yeah, but do you spend time with her? Nah. Why? I love this game right here. You know, guys trying to get me to ditch, trying to do all these things that was going to take the place of football. Wasn't going to happen. So for me, loving the game meant sacrificing anything that was going to stop me from playing the game. Again, like I said, guys, I sat out a year. A lot of people don't know that. They think I went straight from Hawthorne to SC. I sat out a year from football. Didn't pick up a football for a year. Didn't run track for a year, just working. And you talk about the ultimate sacrifice, that was taken away from me. The game was taken away from me. Something that I love. Been playing since I was 8 at Inglewood Pop Warner for 5 years, Hawthorne at 4 years. And to have that feeling and to really understand I'm not playing football, it was like, man, like it was like an emptiness because I identified everything I did with the game. I got a degree from USC, not because I was the smartest kid, but because in order for me to participate in football, I had to do good in school. And once I got to school and realized the importance of having an education, football helped me not only get my degree because I love the game, and if I couldn't perform in school, I wasn't going to be able to play the game. Once I was able to get my degree, now I'm rubbing elbows with different people that can help me in my second career. So I sacrificed a lot for the game, but then, like Buck and Eric said, you gain a lot on the back end. You know, I'm 12 years, I've been out the game since 05, and I'm still living a great life because of the game of football that I love. So, you know, the sacrifices that I gave up, and guys, you're going to hear a bunch of people, like ED said, it's going to be a lot of guys hating on you because the reality is they wish they were you. They wish they were in your spot. Just think about all you guys are playing football right now. And y'all all partners and y'all all hanging out and going to eat and do your thing. But it may be one or two of you guys, like Eric said, that may have a chance. And all of a sudden, he's not hanging around you no more. He ain't coming back in the hood no more. He ain't going out to eat with you no more. Why? Because he has to take care of this business, and whoever that person may be, you got to be willing to sacrifice your friend if he doesn't understand that, you know what, I have an opportunity and I'm on this path, and although we were both going like this, it didn't work for you, but it's working for me, and if he doesn't like it, you got to be willing to say, you know what, man, if you can't support me, then kick rocks. Because like Eric said, at the end of the day, this guy, he wasn't your friend at the beginning. You guys were just on the same path, doing the same thing, and both of you guys thought you were going to do it, but it wasn't until you decided that you were going to go to practice, you were going to study film, you was going to work hard, versus, I'm going to go to this party, I'm going to go hang out with this girl, I'm not going to go to practice because I'm better than everybody. You know what I mean? So you have to sacrifice, man, and leadership is sacrifice. Leadership is sacrifice. You got to be willing to step out there and do the right thing when nobody else is doing it. And everybody going to talk about you. Oh, you tripping. You scared. Why you don't want to do this? Dog, I'm trying to go pro. And in order to go pro, I can't do what you want to do. So if that's what you want to do, you go do it. I'm going this way. So sacrifice, man, that to me is, the same thing is love, sacrificing whatever it may be that's going to stop you from getting to your dream.
Well, what's it mean to love the game, and what are some tools to showcase a deeper love for it?
I think all the tools are already inside you. You have everything inside to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. But it takes two things. You got to have grit, and you got to have guts. So what I'm going to tell you to you in a little different terms. You got to have guts in terms of being courageous to put yourself out there. Everyone that's in this building is courageous because they play. There can be a lot of people in the stands that may question and doubt your abilities. But by you just walking onto the field, that's the courage. But can you put yourself out there and live with the results if it doesn't go your way? The grit comes from living with the results and putting yourself back out there. As someone who has been cut 5 different times, 5 different teams told me I wasn't good enough to play. But to go back in there, you have to have guts. And so there are going to be people that tell you along the way that you can't, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not tough enough. But if you have a deep-rooted belief in yourself, you can accomplish. But that belief has to be then backed up by work. And so whatever I don't have, I'm going to make up for it in another way. I'm not the fastest, but then I'll be the smartest. I'm not the fastest, I'm not the biggest. Well, I'm going to be a technician. I'm going to find a way to be successful. So when Curtis talks about sacrifice, that sacrifice comes from, am I willing to outwork you? While everyone else is sleeping, I'm willing to go to work. That's what it takes. The great ones that I've been around, they may not always be the most talented, but they're the ones that endure. They're the ones that held the rope a little longer than their buddies. I think Seaway will say, there are dudes that were much better than me in my neighborhood.
Not that many, though.
But I was able to hang on just a little longer. And so the one thing that I would tell them, if you want to do it, whatever it is you want to do, you got to have the grits and you got to have the guts. You have those things, you have a chance.
Curious how you can sustain the love for the game for as long as you did, with the success that you did, and probably people pulling at you for as long as they did.
Well, I think when I say I go back to my love of football, I mean, I loved it. I mean, when I say loved it, I mean, it was just like, I loved that game. I mean, just loved everything about it. Walk on the practice field, even in the pros. Sacrifices I had to make for it. And one thing, you got to think back in my day is that I'm from a small town, and, most of it was black and white. It was split. It was like, it was a segregation. At one point, I went to a segregated high school. And when you play a sport like football, you're playing with, it's a team sport. So, I heard guys say, man, you out there running for the white man. You're doing it for the white man. And I'm like, I'm not doing it for the white man because I love it. I love the sport. And you will find out that it's just what Curtis said, is that you guys may be on the same path, but you're different. You really are. I'll give you a good example. My best friend was named Gary Hill. We were the same size. Both of us played running back. We ran a split backfield. He got a scholarship to go to New Mexico State. I got one to go to SMU. But Gary was a smoker. He He was doing things that I wasn't doing, did a little bit of drugs. I wouldn't do that. I was too afraid. My mother told me she'd kill me, and I believed her. I mean, she really would have. There's no joke. And so, our paths were going the same direction, going to college. And make a long story short, he dropped out. He came through Dallas on his way back from leaving college. I said, man, I'm going back home. I just can't take it. This is after his sophomore year. I said, Gary, man, don't leave, man. Stay. I said, you're going to regret this later. He said, nah, man, my girl pregnant. I want to go back, and I just want to be in Sealy. Now, think about this. You're going to college, and you're going to go to a town of 2,000 people. What you want? Which is something that don't make sense. So he goes back, and I fast forward the story. So as time went on, I kept playing pro football, playing college football, and I was seeing, he's back in town, home working and stuff. I'd been to jail, prison once before. So the last time I saw him was about 10 years ago. He was doing the railroad crossing of a rail guard. Like the train comes, he's the guy that held up and stopped the car and stuff. And I said, what's up, Gary? I said, what's up, Eric? I said, man, no. I said, I'm going to come back and talk to you. So I came back and sit on the back of a truck. We sit there all day and talk. And it was amazing how he said, man, Eric, he said, our lives are going the same direction. He said, but I took a different path. And he said, I regret it. He said, you said I'd regret it. He said, I do regret. I have a lot of regrets in my life. He said, I try to tell my son, don't do what your dad did. Your dad's a felon. You can't get a job being a felon. It's hard to get a job being a felon. He said, kids, they don't want to listen. A lot of you guys, you think y'all men, you think y'all know everything. Somebody call you boy. Boy, I ain't no boy. Y'all a bunch of boys. You are. I mean, you really are. Or you want somebody to say, I'm hating. I'm not hating. It's not a hate. Man, I wish with every guy that could play pro football, every one of you guys, but it's just not in your cards, because you know why? You don't have the dedication. You don't have it. You think you do, but you don't. Every one of us have went up here and went through something extremely difficult. And I mean extremely difficult to make you quit. I mean, I had a coach in high school that I did not like. He was racist. I mean, he really was. I mean, he was never coached blacks before, with that whole deal. I mean, you know how hard that was, having a coach that's racist to a point that he didn't like you, I didn't like him, but we won a state championship in spite of. And then about 3 years ago, I talked to him. A guy called me on the phone, and he said, hey, Eric, how you doing? I'm good, man. He said, somebody want to say hi to you. I'll never forget it. Still gets cold chills to this day. I'm 58 years old. I met this man when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. I heard his voice, hey, Eric, named Ralph Harris. I'm like, damn, Ralph Harris. He said, Eric, how you doing? I said, Ralph, I'm good. How you doing? He said, I just want to say something to you, Eric. He said, I was an idiot. I didn't treat you guys right. And I just want to apologize to you. Now, as a young kid, I could have never accepted that apology. But as a grown man, I accepted his apology. And I really truly accepted his apology, because, like I'm saying, it's things in your life that's going to make you go. You're going to have setbacks, and you're going to think, well, I'm just going to go and quit. I'm going to quit. I'm just going to stop playing. I don't want to do this anymore. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, and sometimes it's not even about football. It's not about always being a player in football. You could be a general manager. You could be a coach. You could be in the front office. Hell, you could be an owner. So don't ever just think it's all about playing the sport of football. It's all facets to the sport of any sport, football, baseball, basketball. It all have different facets of it. So for me, it was my determination to prove everybody wrong. I mean, because like I said, I came from a real humble background. A lot of you guys probably do too. Poor. I mean, I was poor. I mean, you see the guys here now that we play pro, and you live in, drive nice cars and all that. But hey, man, that's a sacrifice, and it really is. And some of it is in the classroom. If you can't get your books, Curtis just told you. If you don't get your education, if you don't do your homework, you ain't gonna play football. You may be the most talented guy. It's a bunch of talent on the streets, right down the street. Can't read, can't write, or can't pass the SAT. So for me, it was my determination I just wanted to prove everybody wrong, prove them wrong, and prove to myself that I could do this, in spite of, and that's what it was about for me.
Did pretty well. It's really evident as we've got a few minutes left here, but it's really evident how much you guys love the game and how much you give back to the game and how much sacrifice is necessary to achieve high level in the game. But the game gives us a ton, whether your last snap is this afternoon, this season, in 15 years. And we're always connected to it. And these guys are great examples of that. So, Bucky, I want to start with you. Why are you coaching high school football? You don't have to. You're on TV every weekend. You're a national name. You're scouting the league. But you're drawn back to this team game for some reason.
2 reasons. My dad is a high school coach. And outside of my dad, my high school coach was the most influential person in my life. My high school coach, through the lessons that we learned in between the lines, he showed me that whatever it is that you want to be, whatever it is you want to aspire to be, can happen through work. And so, for me, I've always believed that a coach is more than just a guy that teaches you X's and O's. A coach is someone who, outside of your father, has the opportunity to pass down nuggets that you can refer to 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And then in college, I was coached by a coach, Coach Mack Brown, who's now back in North Carolina. But outside my dad and my high school coach, his impact lasted beyond. And what I learned from him was the positivity of it all. Never yelled, never cursed, never swore, always uplifted and encouraged. And from that encouragement, I gained confidence. And so, as someone who is able to touch a bunch of kids, I want everyone to touch their dream. And so football is just a vehicle to show people how they can accomplish their dreams. So for me, it was the ultimate give back because someone had encouraged me that I now can encourage others. So that's why ball has brought me back.
Curtis, some of you guys know. Ball always brings you back. You know, there's something to it. And Curtis is a great example of that. If you want to see somebody busy, look at Curtis's calendar. I work with him every Tuesday, and he's moving and shaking. He's got a lot going on, but he always finds time to coach in high school. But what is it about a team that keeps bringing you back to this?
You know, for me, I just saw what the climate was of football, and I'm just going to be pretty honest and pretty blunt, and some people may not like it, but the culture of high school football, to me, is the worst I've ever seen it. Again, football was the ultimate team sport. Right now, you know, it's all about me. And where can I go and do this? And if I'm not happy here, I'm going to go here. And if I'm not happy here, I'm going to go there. Versus sitting in this situation and saying it's tough, but you know what, I'm going to fight my way through it. And we all know, like Eric was saying, as you go up in the ranks, it gets harder and harder. And in high school, you may play against 1 or 2 dudes that, you know, in the course of your season, that's really, really good. And then all of a sudden you go to college and every Saturday, everybody's good. Then you get to Sunday and it's not even about talent no more. It's about right here. How can I manipulate the guy across from me? And a lot of high school guys, they feel because they're faster, they can jump higher, they're bigger, they can intimidate guys. Dog, once you start getting to those next levels, it's another you on the other side. Now what are you going to do? And so for me, coming in and trying to not just be here and coach, but Bucky hit it. We're fathers. We're examples. You know, carrying myself a certain way, trying to be an example that they can see. I mean, my mom was 15 when she had me. I grew up with, I've never said daddy a day in my life. So the drug dealers was my influence. They were the guys I hung out with and wanted to be like. And then I had football coaches. So I was able to kind of see, okay, do I want to do this or do I want to play football? And which one of these men do I want to follow? Because as a kid growing up in South Central, mommy, we love them, but we're always looking for that stamp of approval from a man. And so I felt like if I got around the game and being a married man and, you know, my wife being in the public eye and I've been in the public eye, if I can just be an example on how to be, because everybody's telling the kids this, but we all know to have kids. I mean, I can tell my son how to run a post route. My son's going to tell me, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I can show you on film, I played in the NFL, but for some reason, kids don't listen to their parents. So when they say it takes a village, it really does, because their fathers, their mom, their uncles can be telling the same exact thing that we're telling them. And they won't believe them. Oh, you don't know. But one of us tell them, all of a sudden it registers. So I understood that, and I understand that. So for me, it was more about, you know, character. carrying myself a certain way and letting these kids understand that, man, look, that football, that can go at any time. What are you without football? Because I had that experience for a year. Who was I without football? Just won the state championship, All-American quarterback. And it was all gone the day I graduated from high school, the day I won the state championship at Cerritos College. The next day was probably one of the most emptiest days of my life because it was done. I wasn't playing college football next year. I wasn't playing pro. So for me, every time I speak, I'm speaking on real live experiences. And these kids, they think they're better than what they are. Eric, he's not hating. He's keeping it 100. I'm going to tell y'all that here's a fact. And I'm going to speak on to a position, and I'm going to speak on a team. We all know in the NFL, fellas, every training camp, there's at least 90 to 100 players on every team. You have to cut down to a 53-man roster. Now, I've been on rosters where guys were really, really talented, really good, and still got cut. Guys will walk in this room that made it to the NFL, because it's a difference from making it and actually playing and having a career. And so to come and show these guys, like, look, man, we actually did it. So if you can't take it from us, then, you can't take it from anybody. But for me, it was more about teaching the kids more so than, okay, let me go grab him because he can run fast. Let me get him. No, teaching them the game, but also challenging the kids on, take football away. Is that guy going to be with you if you don't play football? Who are you without the game? Because playing 12 years and I retired at 34, still got a lot of life to live, man. And that money, you see some nice checks every week. When that thing is cut off, you don't see that check in something that you may make in a week. You won't see that ever again in a year. So how do you identify with life after that? So for me, I'm a sore loser. But if I never win a championship, that's not why I'm in it. I want kids to be able to ask me questions, because some of these kids don't have somebody that they can go and trust. So I felt like if I can put myself around these kids all the time versus doing a camp on a Saturday and spending an hour or two with a kid, be around these kids so they can see how I carry myself, because maybe they don't have that example. Like me, maybe they didn't have a father. If I could help that and help channel a kid in the right direction outside of football, then I'm doing my job, and it's not just about football.
And here we are at the 11 on camp, brought to you by the Rams and Nike, of course, the National Football League. Eric, you've been around the Rams. This culture seems to have swung in a beautiful and brilliant direction. What can these student athletes take back to their team, to their culture, after today, that you've learned from being around the Rams over the last couple seasons?
Well, not just being around the Rams, just being a professional athlete, seeing the things that being a professional athlete can bring to you, the things but will never get if you're sometimes not a professional athlete. I hate to say it, athletes are sometimes we're treated different. We are. We're no different, but sometimes we are. It's great to be affiliated with a professional football team or a professional organization, but to be affiliated with a team that you played for. I played in Los Angeles, and a lot of people, they know you. That's great and everything. But, it's life outside of that. It really is. And that's why I always go back to what my dad said. You treat people the way you want to be treated. You really do. Because that'll always come back to you. It does. And when I listen to Bucky and I listen to Curtis speak, everything he's saying is so true. Like I say, I'm not trying to hate on you guys at all. I'm not. Like I said, I wish all you guys would be able to make it pro. All you guys can work for a pro football team, a pro baseball team. But in the real world, it's not going to happen. And that's just the facts. It is. I would say for all you young men in here, be dedicated to whatever you do. And women. Like my dad said, all that you do what you might. Things done by halves are never done right. And that's a true statement. If you do something, it's never going to work out. You'll look back later and wish that you could have did it a different way. You really will. Sitting in here, you probably say, "Oh, these a bunch of old dudes sitting up here. They don't know what they're talking about." Curtis, right? I was trying to tell my daughter, when I first had her running track, about how to run. Yeah, you don't understand. I'm like, Your dad won state and 100, 200. Your dad was fast. Nah, they don't get it. I mean, and some of you young men in here, you probably won't listen to your parents. Let me tell you something. Mom and dad know what they're talking about. Mom and dad was you. Dad was you one day. Your uncle, he was you. He was you. You might not think it because, you know, he look old now and you can't picture that anymore. But it's a fact. I mean, you go back and look at each one of us sitting there, all three of us. Go back and look on your phone when you get there. Let's look us up. I tell you something. I guarantee you, wouldn't nobody in this room go outrun me. I mean, I challenge anybody. That was my thing. I'm fast. I mean, but that's how you guys feel. You feel like you're invincible. You feel like you're invincible, and you're really not. You know, you have a long way to go. I mean, and I can say, you know, it's not about sometimes being affiliated with an organization. It really isn't. It's about you as an individual and what you do with your life. The blessing. You're a blessing to be here. I mean, it's a blessing. Think about you sitting in this room. You playing high school football, playing football. You know what a blessing that is. Some of your friends wish they could do that. They really do. They wish they could be sitting in this room right where you are right now, but they never will. And some of them are jealous of you. They are jealous. You might not feel it, but they're very envious because you're here and they're not. Man, Trey, he ain't that good, man. How the heck he get on the thing, man? Come on, dog. You know, I'm better than him. You know, but you sitting here and he's not. So I would say to you, man, take full advantage of this opportunity. Listen to the words that we guys speaking. I mean, you don't care what I say, so you care what they say. But I mean, it's true. It's so true because we were you. We were you. You're gonna be an old man if you live a lot longer. You're gonna be a young football player. Let me tell you that. I played football for 11 years in the National Football League. Man, I've been an old man a lot longer. If you retire 33, 34, 35, 36, the time just goes on. You know, that young body you got right now, that rips, all them muscles, gonna be out here one day. You know, all that hair you got, gonna look like this one day. So, you know, like I say, I'll tell you, you know, I'll just say, man, to you, I'll say this in closing. Just enjoy your youth. Enjoy it and take full advantage of it.
Fellas, a round of applause. I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with this before we give you some direction on the day. When you walk out of here today, in the next couple hours, when you walk out of here in the next couple hours, I want you, if you're really about it, right? You all raise your hands. You said you love the game. If you're really about your team, 11 on, greatest team sport in the history of planet Earth, talk about the type of team you want to be. What values do you want to be? How are you going to hold each other accountable? What are you willing to do? What's the agape love look like within your team? Are you going to go to school? You're going to read? You're going to talk about the dark times, the great times. You're going to celebrate. What type of team do you want to be? Because you'll carry the principles of your team, the 11 on, that you compete with and against every day, with you throughout the rest of your life. And we all hope that it's throughout the game of football. But if it's not, you'll take it to wherever you go. So we thank you for the time, fellas.
How about that conversation, man? That light you up? That lights me up, too. I hope what lights you up is your inbox as well. Go to yogiroth.com if you love ball. And if you love the phrase, how great is ball? You're going to dig the How Great is Ball newsletter. Every Friday, this is coming in your inbox. I'm talking about things that really haven't been talked about in mainstream college football because there's some of my insights in college football that don't make it to air. So it's sidebar conversations. It's takes on recruiting. It's takes on coaching and developing young coaches, etc. So I hope you dig it. If it can improve, which it can, let me know how you'd like it to improve. Also have links to articles, other podcasts, other content as well. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm doing another podcast every Monday with Ted Robinson and Michael Molinari. It's called Ted and Yogi's Pac-12 Adventure. Yeah, a little playoff of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But we get together for 30 minutes or less. Ted is my broadcast partner, family member. Michael Molinari produces our games, a family member. Dive in with our conversation because you have 30 minutes, we'll whip around the Pac-12, but try to lean into some of the places we've been. And we think that when you look at people covering this conference, there's nobody that does it better than us. So I know a lot of people do it, but hopefully we can bring you something maybe you haven't listened to or seen or been aware of or even thought of. But check that one out. You can get it anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And if you want a How Great Is Ball t-shirt, we're selling those too. It's awesome. I love seeing fans on the road rock those. You can get all that at yogiroth.com. All right, I'm out of here. Got a new podcast coming soon, but I got to get on the road. Got another game this weekend on the Pac-12 networks. All right, much love.